Very wide.
Sup y'all, Chris here, hope you're good. Should be a quick one today. I know you've heard that before, but this time I really mean it. Like, I'm gonna try my best to make it nice and short. And you're gonna help me. Today we're gonna talk prospection over the phone, and the whole segment is gonna be less than 5 minutes, right? Like here, just right here. We're gonna talk about 4 things that you need to remember if you wanna nail your prospection. Let me start with a disclaimer. These are not the only thing you need to know when you're doing some sort of prospection job, but you know, these are 4 things that you really need to know if you wanna nail it. Number 1, you should always prepare your prospection. Always do your homework. That sounds obvious as it is, but I've worked with so many salespeople in my career that I'm not really working that hard on the beforehand of the prospection. You need to know who you're going to be talking to. You need to know what your selling points are, really, depending on the type of counterpart you'll have over the phone. You need to know who you're going to be calling. Who are these people going to be? What are their working hours like? Like lots of things, right? There's gonna be a full video on this aspect of prospection, all the homework that you gotta do before you start picking up the phone, call people. This is critical, right? Make sure you do your homework. Number 2, when you call people over the phone, most of the time they're not expecting your call. Obviously, most of the time they got things going on, so you need to be quick, straight to the point, really efficient and respectful in the way you talk. But most important, there's a couple of words to avoid. And this is probably gonna be the most complicated thing to get rid of in your, let's say, sales conversation with people. These few words are just throwing you into a position you don't wanna be in. A weak position, a position when you're begging for time, you're begging for attention or something like that. You don't want that. A very common opening sentence like, "Can I ask to disturb you just a second?" First, you're already asking, so why are you asking to ask? This is useless and people feel it. Sounds really salesy. If you offer just a second, why are you even calling? Can I ask to disturb you? I mean, you're not disturbing them, you're coming up with a solution to them. You know, that's why I said last time in the video, you want to be the one that helps people out. So you're not disturbing them really, you're just coming up with a solution to a problem that they may not really have understood that they have. Maybe the most important word is just. Don't use it. Like, don't. Sometimes I was challenging myself to avoid using the word just altogether. Just a word that's making the counterpart feel like you're belittling yourself and thus your offer. Man, I mean, don't use that. Like, really, right? There's a couple of other words that you should avoid as much as possible in your conversations, in your prospection over the phone. I'm just gonna list them right here and there, and maybe there too. Some are gonna be in my face too. Yeah, just all this. I'm gonna put it all in the description box below. So if you wanna have a look at them, and you just tell me if there's a couple of words I forgot. Yeah, there's loads of them, don't use them. Number 3, that should really be the number 2, but you know, you'll understand why. When you're within the prospection and you're trying to get to speak to people, one very important thing is to get people to be interested in whatever you're selling. You don't wanna waste time. So one very good tip is to get people to call you back. You don't want to be the one begging for time or attention as this. You gotta make sure that the email or the first call that you're making is getting people interested enough to give you a call back. So what you're doing is that you're not letting them just handle the whole callback thing. When you call them or you send an email to them, we try and get them interested, and then you set a time, or you try to set or schedule a time with these people for them to call you back. Then you know that they're gonna be in the right disposition, in the right situation to speak to you. They're probably gonna bring the people that are the most appropriate to speak to with regard to the topic that you're trying to cover. Very important, get people to call you back. 4th, last but not least, do always follow up. Always send an email or pay a visit or do whatever, but you always follow up after a call. Even if it's someone telling you that they are not really interested in whatever you're selling or whatever, do always send an email. You know why? That's obvious. Should I explain? Yeah! Please explain! Please do! Yeah, please do! Alright, when you send an email, obviously you're gonna be in their email inbox. Your email address is gonna be somewhere on their files. And also, it's just out of politeness, courtesy. Someone just gave you a little bit of their time. The least you can do is just say thank you for that. This is if they turn you down. On the other hand, if the call was pretty successful, it is absolutely important to let your counterpart know that you understood whatever was said in the conversation. If there's something that was left a little bit unclear, you can always clarify in an email and try to get them to state another way or explain a little bit more, a little bit further. Also, one great thing to do is to always integrate some sort of call to action within the email. One thing that I do a lot of time in my follow-up emails, I send an email with a download link for a little bit more information. Something like that. Something very simple, but I just want people to actually be involved in this sales transaction. So I want them to be involved into clicking the button and downloading button. A little bit British. I want them to click it, download whatever document when it download, and then I know that they've not only received and opened the email, but they've actually dealt with it in a way that they've downloaded the information. It's on their computer. So it's always important to integrate some sort of call to action. If there's something that's coming up, if the end of the conversation was just, okay, send me an email with your proposal. Maybe you won't have time to get a proposal ready in the next 24 to 48 hours. Maybe you just send an email telling them that, okay, thank you for your time today. I'll forward the proposal by the end of the week. In the meantime, if you want more information, feel free to call or drop me an email. That works. Easy, simple, real quick. Alright, hope that helped you a little bit. As I say, these are not the only things you need to know when you're doing some sort of telephone prospection work. But these are things that you actually need to nail if you want to nail the whole thing. So yeah, it worked for me, it should work for you. Right, anyways, that's all from me. My name's Chris, Web Business Developer, and I'm out of here. Yeah, it's me from the future. Forgot to say, like this video, subscribe to the channel, enable the notifications, do all these nice things that all these guys on YouTube tell you to do all the time. I'm not good with this. I'm out of here.